The harsh truth about life. Learn Schopenhauer's secrets to overcoming difficulties. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today you will gain a deeper understanding of life's dilemmas regarding suffering and illusions. Life, when seen without illusions, is a battlefield, not in a physical sense, but on a much deeper existential level. We are all immersed in a continuous cycle of desire, frustration, and suffering, and understanding this is the first step toward finding a path to serenity. Arthur Schopenhauer, one of the most striking philosophers in his worldview, presented us with an inescapable truth. The essence of life is marked by suffering, but before despair takes over, it is essential to understand what this means and how this perspective can, paradoxically, set us free. From the very first moments of our existence, we are driven by a force Schopenhauer called the will. This blind force constantly pushes us towards something we desire, only for us to be met with an ever-present emptiness once we achieve it. This endless cycle can be exhausting and frustrating, but ignoring it does not make it any less real. Recognizing this reality is the first step toward living with greater awareness and consequently with greater tranquility. Stoicism, much like Schopenhauer's philosophy, teaches us that pain cannot be avoided, but it can be understood and transcended. It all depends on you. Suffering, according to the German philosopher, is not an accident of life, but its very essence. Existence is structured in such a way that each achievement is soon replaced by new dissatisfaction, keeping us trapped in an endless cycle of desire. However, true freedom emerges when we learn to face this reality without despair. Many people spend their lives chasing pleasures, believing that happiness lies in the next achievement, the next relationship, the next promotion. But Schopenhauer warns us, this pursuit is an illusion. Happiness based on desires will always be fleeting, and the more we cling to it, the more we become prisoners of dissatisfaction. So what is left for us? The answer lies in a profound shift in our perspective on life. Contemplation, acceptance of impermanence, and understanding our own nature are essential elements in finding a more authentic sense of life. It is not about giving up, but about stopping the resistance. When we understand that suffering is part of the process, it ceases to surprise us and is instead faced with serenity. This understanding strengthens us and allows us to live without fear, anxiety, or anguish. Most human suffering arises from resistance to reality. Your internal struggle is what wears you down. We spend a significant amount of time questioning why things don't happen as we wish, why life is unfair, or why fate imposes seemingly insurmountable difficulties upon us. Schopenhauer teaches us that this mindset is, in itself, the cause of much of our pain. Instead of struggling against what we cannot change, we can learn to accept life as it is. This does not mean passive resignation or defeatism. Accepting reality does not mean surrendering to conformity, but rather seeing the world with clearer, more realistic eyes. In Stoicism, this idea is reinforced by the principle of focusing only on what is within our control and letting go of concern over what we cannot change. Schopenhauer goes even further, suggesting that by recognizing the true nature of existence, we become less vulnerable to its traps. Personal development in this context does not come from an endless pursuit of external goals, but from internal transformation. Self-knowledge is the key to a more fulfilling life, as it allows us to understand our own patterns of thought and behavior. Why do we suffer so much when we lose something? Why do we fear the future? Why are we always searching for more? All these questions have a common root: the illusion that happiness depends on external factors. Schopenhauer teaches us that true peace can only be found within ourselves. This does not mean abandoning worldly life, but rather living it without becoming enslaved by our own expectations. The more we detach ourselves from the need to control other people's actions and external situations, the freer we become. Most people spend their lives seeking distractions to avoid confronting reality. We work tirelessly, surround ourselves with entertainment, and engage in superficial relationships, all to avoid silence and introspection. But it is precisely in this silence that we find the answers we seek. Schopenhauer valued contemplation and art as forms of transcendence. He believed that music, for example, had the power to connect us with something beyond everyday suffering. When we allow ourselves moments of deep contemplation, we gain a glimpse of an existence less bound by the illusions of desire. Stoicism teaches us that virtue lies in living according to reason, and Schopenhauer reinforces this idea by stating that wisdom consists of accepting reality with clarity. This does not mean we should have no goals or ambitions, but rather that we should pursue them without attachment. Everything in life is temporary, and the sooner we understand this, the sooner we find peace. The truth about life may be harsh, but it can also be liberating. When we accept that suffering is inherent to existence, we stop fighting against it and start learning from it. Schopenhauer does not offer us a magical solution to pain, but he gives us a perspective that allows us to deal with it more wisely. Personal development, in this sense, is not a path of escape, but a path of self-discovery. We cannot change the nature of life, but we can change how we respond to it. True freedom does not lie in the absence of difficulties, but in our ability to face them without despair. Schopenhauer's philosophy teaches us that peace does not come from fulfilling desires, but from understanding that no desire can truly complete us. When we stop seeking happiness in external factors and learn to live with acceptance, we find a type of serenity that nothing can take away from us. And perhaps in the end, this is the greatest lesson we can learn. Life may not be perfect, but it is still worth living with wisdom and awareness. So did you enjoy the video and the lessons? Leave a comment and share your thoughts on these questions. We can always learn something new from your perspective. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so we can continue bringing more content like this to improve your life.